And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is a late night show for the podcast. Nope, for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, as a website, go there. Welcome back in. Here we are. We're doing a very early episode for me to record. It's 9:42 in the morning. I wanted to do this about 12 minutes ago, but I was culling all of the videos I was going to choose. The thing is, I spoke about this, I believe, on LinkedIn Logs, but definitely on the Constitutionals podcast, Entertainment Business News podcast, LinkedIn Logs at Jobs podcast. Peloton has this Boost Your Base program for their cycling classes, for Power Zone endurance cycling classes. And the problem is I'm behind by about a week. So I'm trying to catch up on top of my regular workout stuff. I'm messing around with the cables because they're all in my lap and I don't like that. On top of my regular workouts, including my running and my rowing, and then my regular cycling and the weightlifting, I decided to do this program. So it's replacing my cycling that I do, because I was already doing Peloton cycling, but it's just replacing all the cycling. Anyway, I'm playing catch up, because they're only giving 8 weeks, and I want to get this achievement that they have. So I'm playing catch up. And in the time it's taking me to play catch up, I have to do extra classes per day. So today I have to do an extra one. Tomorrow I have to do an extra one. And then Sunday I have to do an extra one. I have to do tomorrow's class on Sunday. Then I'll be caught up. I'll finally be on schedule. But I'm so tired. And yesterday I did last Saturday's long ride, which is an hour, plus a 20-minute ride, plus the boxing I did at the gym. I'm tired. So I'm recording early so I can take a nap. I got to take Maverick to the dog park in about 15 minutes. And then I already cut the video for this interview I did. And so, and that's coming out at noon. I'm happy about that. Then after I finish working out, I'm doing that class at noon. I showered like an hour ago. And so it's 9:45 now. I'll be showering again at 1 o'clock when I'm finished with this. And then also I'm throwing in some core work. Because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do any this morning. I'll just do it the second time I'm working out. But it does give me an excuse to eat a lot. All right, let's get on with this week in late night. I didn't put these in the exact order I wanted them going, but whatever. John Mulaney and Andy Samberg read some fanfic on Everybody's Live with John Mulaney. And let me triple check who was on this week. Whoa. I just saw a headline of a story that is very interesting. Anyway. This week it's Rami Youssef. I have not seen this week's episode, so I'm trying not. It's unfortunate that things are like this. Anyway, Robbie Hoffman, Rami Youssef, and Andy Samberg were the ones who were on the show this week. And I look forward to sitting down and watching this episode when it comes on my TV. You know, Netflix are doing this live thing now. It only airs when it's on your TV at certain points. John Oliver talked about Trump and deportations, and he did a lengthy story about that. Ronnie Chang, this week on The Daily Show, something that I only noticed last week. I don't know if they're going forward, they're going to be doing this, but they seem, and I mentioned it last week, they seem to be doing Jon Stewart on Mondays. And then instead of doing one person taking over the rest of the week, they seem to be giving people daily episodes, which is a bit concerning. They can't even seem to stick with the regular, we're going to be doing an episode, a week long with Michael Costa or Jordan Klepper. Because I feel they're doing a lot less. They're doing more desk pieces where it's after the monologue, and they have, as I linked to Ronnie Chang or Lewis Black or Jordan Klepper introducing something or Desi Light introducing, but they're doing more of those instead of the, hey, it's Grace Kludenschmidt and Troy Iwata popping in, or even Ronnie Chang or Michael Costa or whoever's not hosting, popping in the middle of the monologue and doing a back and forth with the host for that week. I don't know why they're doing this. They should have. I mean, if you're going to not have a regular host all the time, at least give people some consistency. Because if you're going to have Desi on Tuesday and then Michael Costa on Wednesday and then Ronnie Chang on Thursday, that doesn't bode well for the person who wants to come back every night. And yes, the Daily Show writers have become are I will say it, they're probably the best writers in late night right now because they have to write for so many different voices. That includes Stewart and then the correspondents, and then they probably throw in a handful of them. Probably throw in on some of the desk pieces that are opinion pieces that come from the likes of Leslie Jones or Charlamagne the God or Lewis Black or whatever. But they have to know so much, and yes, they're writing the voice of the Daily Show, but they also have to write in the voice of Desi and Michael and Jordan and Ronnie. It's the same. It's that all over and over again. So. Be consistent with it. Be consistent with it. I'm sure. The producers or whomever are switching this up because it was getting. Maybe it felt stale for them. Maybe it was getting boring for them. But the thing is, people go to Late Night with Seth Meyers because they know they're going to get a closer look 3 times a week. For the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, they know they're going to get a bunch of games, at least a game a night. We'll get for Colbert, meanwhile, at least once or twice a week. So they just have this consistency. Anyway, the cast of Ghosts were among the I closed it. I hate this. I should have put this in order. It's my fault. This is not. I don't blame YouTube. The cast of Ghosts is the link I linked to. It includes Asher Grodman. I think that's his name, right? Asher Grodman. Yes. Sheila Carrasco and Richie Moriarty. They appeared on the After Midnight to do some hashtag wars and jokes and all that. And then we also had Dylan Adler, Susie Barrett, and Will Miles. And then there was also Paul Fahey and Taylor Ortega, who they love. They love Taylor Ortega. She's there once a week at this point. And Alex Newell. Doug Benson, Eddie Pepitone, and Maria Bamford were last night's episode. Again, I did not watch. I'm rushing through. I had to rush through Late Night with Seth Meyers as I was editing this video. As I was editing the interview. This week also featured Anna Kendrick and what's her name? Carrie, the woman who stars in Elsbeth. What is her name? Carrie Preston. Featured them popping up to talk about their projects. Obviously Elsbeth and whatever movie Anna Kendrick is in. The thing, and I'm not saying that dismissively. I don't know. Oh, it's Another Simple Favor, which is in my list. I really liked the first Simple Favor movie, a Simple Favor movie, and I can't wait to watch the second one. I remember when A Simple Favor released in the theaters, and it was spreading seemingly by word of mouth, and then I had to wait until it came to DVD, and then I rented it. I believe that's how old A Simple Favor is. Let me see. Yeah, 2018. I most definitely rented it because I remember getting the disc from Redbox. Anyway, I'm excited to watch that movie. I will have to rewatch the first one because I've not seen it since 2018. So, any Hoosers, but CBS, this platform that they have with After Midnight in particular, because you don't see this with you see a lot of the cross promotion with Jimmy Kimmel Live or the or the NBC late night shows, and even with Colbert. However, After Midnight is truly utilized as a tool to advertise every other show in the Paramount family. I'm surprised we haven't had a Tapper from Bar Rescue on. I'm sure he's not a funny guy. And I do mean that as an insult. But it's just so interesting that they, on top of relying on the same, as much as I'm attracted to Taylor Ortega, they rely on the same people all the time. They also rely on, hey, here's Justin Hartley from Tracker to deliver a joke or something like that. It's so strange. It's like watching, when I watch Jeopardy or Pop Culture Jeopardy or Celebrity Jeopardy, whatever, and they have a guest read the one of the questions or give one of the answers. I don't know how did Jeopardy works. They give the answer. You have to ask the question, and in the form whatever, or give the answer in the form of a question. But they ask one of the questions, and then here's a real housewife to ask a real question, and then it's a real housewife you don't know, but she's got 20 million followers delivering the question. Like, why? Okay, who's next? Paula Poundstone popped up on the Late Show, and this audience, I don't know why this audience is here, if not to see comedy. And as I was watching the clip, I'm just thinking, you're not laughing, people. She's a funny woman. She's a hilarious comedian. I think that's a problem with comedy in late night in general, stand-up comedy in late night in general, because when Conan was on, and I hate to be one of those people that's like, oh, when I love Conan, but when Conan was on, and he had late night, he had comedians on his late night programs all the way, even to the end of Conan on TBS, he had comedians on his program, and it was funny and it worked, and the audience was game, and now when I watch everybody on NBC or anybody on CBS or on Kimmel doesn't have comedians, but when I watch people, I'm rooting for every comedian that performs on these late night programs, because no audience is expecting stand up anymore. They all want music or from giant acts, or they want the desk pieces that they can, clap for 2 minutes at, which is such a stupid way to think. It's like, it's openly, and I see this with Late Night with Seth Meyers. A lot of people, I'm guessing here, but I think a lot of people go to that show and they go, oh, I hope I get a night where it's the closer look. I hope I get the closer look. And then they get something like Back in My Day, and then they're like, then they barely laugh at the jokes. It feels like the audience is deflated. And I'm thinking, hey, you're getting 44 minutes of, to an hour of comedy for free. Enjoy it. Or entertainment for free. Enjoy it. Anyway, Bill Gates was on the latest episode. Christine Baranski was in an episode. Stellan Skarsgård, excuse me. Why are they doing these characters? What is this? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I'm done. I'm looking at this Father Guido Sarducci. Like, why is Father Guido Sarducci on? And Rachel Maddow was on for an episode. Gillian Welch and David Rawlings performed. Jim Gaffigan was on, and it's great to have Jim Gaffigan on, a known Catholic on a week when, and Father Guido Sarducci on a week when they're talking about, when the conclave was voting on this Pope thing. That's pretty cool. It's really good booking. Then Noah Wiley talks about, the pit on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Tom Segura was on. Fuerza Regida performed. Let's see. Who else? Nick Offerman, Charlie Cox. They Might Be Giants. I saw that, and I'm not a fan of them, but I know their band has been around for a long time. So, yes, obviously, I was just like, oh, that's They Might Be Giants. I listen to a lot of music, too. Barry Keoghan, Lunel, I'm With Her. I do like I'm With Her. Riley, Rielo, Kylie, and Charlize Theron were on too. And then also the Mormon Wives from one of the Mormon Wives show. On the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, we had comedian Joe List perform some stand-up, Aaron Doherty, Shakira, and she also performed earlier this week with Wyclef Jean on the Tonight Show. They also played Box of Lies. Shakira is still a huge talent in my mind, so I don't know why these videos don't have as many views. Counting Crows performed. That I'll tell you right now, there's some good people in that casting department. Josh Hartnett, Adam Duritz, Kerry Washington, Nate Bargatze, and Lorraine Baracco were all there this week, and then as well as Kristen Cavalieri, David Spade. Yeah. And Late Night with Seth Meyers, we had a cooking segment that was really, really funny. I should have linked to the cooking segment. But Chef Eric Choi, David Yun, and Steve Choi made some things. It's a wonderful segment, and even though it had 4 people in it, including Seth, it wasn't rushed. I really appreciate that. John Oliver was on this week along with Chloe Feynman, and then they did Mike Scollins, who's one of the writers on the show, did the Scollywood Minute to talk about movies, and all he did was make fun of Seth. It was fantastic. Jonathan Groff and Gracie Lawrence talked about their Tony nominations. Adria Arjona from Andor talked about, that's a lot of A's, talked about that show, Andor season 2. I'm not kidding. I was watching her interview and I was like, God, she's so beautiful. And then she said, my girlfriend. I went, oh, how dare. Anna Wintour and Aesop Rocky talked about the Met Gala. Benito Skinner was on as well. Ben Mendelsohn, Natasha Lyonne. Boom. Great week. It was a great week for late night. Now, okay. I think this is the thing I wanted to talk about. So this comes from John Koblin over at the New York Times. Did I talk about this last week? Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm not kidding. I don't know if I did this. No, because I talked about corrections. That's right. Okay. Now, here's the thing. We have this new late night show in John Mulaney's Everybody's Live from LA. Wait, what? Everybody's Live with John Mulaney on Netflix. We are losing after midnight. I've spoken about this in the last couple of episodes. We don't have any women in late night. Late night seems to be waning and kind of turning down, unfortunately. And there's a lot of things not clicking with the audience in terms of just viewership and retaining everything. Late night seems to be as the segments in late night seem to be as more fleeting than they've been before. They're more fleeting than, people seem to forget them as quickly as they forget memes on TikTok and things of that nature. And it's unfortunate that we are going down this trend of losing late night in the same way that I'm from the news. So as we are losing these broadcast news staples and TV shows and hosts because the viewership is just not there and it's not connecting. And by that, I mean, Lester Holt's leaving NBC News and Nora O'Donnell left CBS Evening News. And we have 2 hosts who people aren't really clicking with, and morning news shows are getting hokier or more hokey than usual, and there's so many voices that are competing with each other. I was watching a video on The Verge. One of the podcast producers from The Verge was discussing why he decided to get out of the podcast world and shift his focus towards, I'm looking for the video as I speak. So if I slow down, that's the reason why. Why he's shifting his focus from podcasting to video. The video is called, "Oh No, Google is Turning Everything into a Podcast." and I don't. This guy doesn't have he doesn't have his name on this video. If you're okay, whatever. Anyway, it's on The Verge on YouTube. It's a 20-minute thing, but he says something early on in the video where he says, podcast, and hold on. The idea of the video is, you can take Google can there are programs, AI driven programs where Google can take, something that is written like a performance report and just turn it into a podcast between two AI voices, and they can say, they can go like, oh, well, here's what's happening, and then I don't know. I'm tired. Anyway. Oh God, I'm so tired. So but he said something early on in the video where he basically said, God, what was the verbiage he used? Their podcasts are in a world where people have limited time and everything's fighting for the same time. People, as much as people want to think that they are open to lots of ideas and different voices and everything, they kind of gravitate towards the same things over and over again. Especially as you get older, you're just less reliant on newer voices that don't agree with you or don't sound like something you already know. And look at music. We all listen to the same music over and over again, and when tastes change globally, that's when the music will change globally. That's why we left the world of classic rock and 90s hip hop and everything for a period went into this poppy thing, and then the 808s and, well, not 808s, but what's the thing that T-Pain made popular? That stuff. And now we're in this kind of EDM light world, house music light world. So it said light, L-I-T-E. It doesn't necessarily mean that the pop stuff that's playing on the radio equals stuff that Steve Aoki makes, or vice versa, or that one's better than the other. I listened to Steve Aoki radio this morning at the gym. It was a spur of the moment thing because I love that station, and there was this he made this. Well, no, he didn't make it. Gelfalfstein has this Abracadabra remix from Lady Gaga that I loved. Anyway, but as John Koblin writes, is this the last thing of late night that we're going to see? Is there any way that late night is going to be able to survive after this newfound version of late night that is being created with the Netflix series, including Michelle Wolf's canceled series, and other ones along the same lines? I'm trying to think of everything between Michelle Wolf's show and Samantha Bee's show on TBS that was and Conan's never going to go back to late night at all. We're just going to have Conan O'Brien goes abroad, and he's going to be talking to fans all the time, which not everybody likes to watch. I'm glad he's having a good time, but I could care less about some guy who's like, some French guy. I'm a big Conan fan, and I make a bunch of cheeses, and it's funny if you try these cheeses. Oh, I hate that so much. We're seeing advertising revenue for these shows, including Colbert Show, Fallon Show, Kimmel, James Corden Show, and Seth Meyers. In 2018, those shows, the broadcast shows, were at $439 million. By 2022, that figure's dropped to $277 million. That's according to Guideline and Advertising Data Firm. Last year, in 2024, those numbers plunged to $220.6 million, which is nearly a 50% decline from 2018. Now, over the course of those 6 years, we saw this giant changing tide in late night where Corden left, and then they had to figure out, CBS is back at square one, and in terms of late night programming, and there was another regime change, there was a pandemic, and all those things truly have affected the tastes of how people want their comedy and their late night delivered to them. A lot of people just, they don't have TV anymore. They get rid of cable. They get rid of cable-like things like YouTube TV and Hulu Live TV and Sling and Fubo, and they don't want to go back to that. And instead, they opt to watch everything on YouTube because YouTube, as we can see, as we've heard and as we've read and as we've discussed, is the biggest TV video platform in the world. It's eclipsing Disney. Disney Plus is eclipsing. It's already eclipsed cable. It eclipses truly everything. It's the number one thing that people watch now, and nothing will ever beat that. And the only competition that's even close happens to be Disney Plus and Netflix, and then TikTok. I don't think necessarily in that order. I think it is. I think Disney Plus is number 2, but anyway. So if we're at this point, where does that take late night? And as Koblin writes, there are other shows that have either filled in those gaps that late night has left because of the internet, or there's a resurgence of a different or of a similar style of late night, but with a familiar voice. And so with Hot Ones, you have that guy. I forgot his name. Sean something. You have Sean putting out these 15, 20-minute videos with giant stars, and there's a gimmick in you're going to eat these chicken wings, or you're going to eat these hot sauces. Try these hot sauces, and I'm going to ask you very simple questions. Very simple questions that are obviously written down. There's no conversation. Just question, answer, question, answer. Oh, look. Benson Boone is reacting to how hot it is. I stopped watching the Hot Ones a long time ago. I don't think Sean's a very good host, but good for him. Good for him for now. He owns Hot Ones, and he does his own thing. Like, good for him. And then we also have Jon Stewart, the familiar voice I spoke about, returning to the Daily Show once a week, and it was so good for Comedy Central. He's doing his thing, and he's breaking the mugs and cutting his hand open, and people are clapping after everything he says. He's awaking the masses. And then we also have podcasts. Speaking of Conan, we've got Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. That's filled in the gap. The Smartless Media, all that stuff. People are popping up. Even not a fan, but Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn and the rest of those people. They're all popping up and getting big names like Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn aren't getting Kamala Harris, but Kamala Harris is unfortunately going over to Alex Cooper. Ugh. One of these people come to me. I'll give you a good conversation. And then those people like Joe Rogan, Alex Cooper, and the host of Smartless are getting $250 million and $125 million and $100 million, and even respectively, and even the Kelsey brothers have their $100 million for their podcast. So that's where all of this late night is really turning. So it's as Ted Sarandos, Koblin writes in this post, says, the lines between podcasts and talk shows are getting pretty blurry. And I mean, at this point, they're basically the same thing. I've been doing this for 12 years, and the things that do the best are when I talk to famous people. It feels like there aren't any great talk shows even in coming out in the ether. Have I Got News for You is CNN's a remake of a British panel series, and it works, but I don't think it's working in the way it's working enough to where they renewed the show for another season, but I don't think it's working in the way that they would have hoped. And God bless them, they are doing something smart by allowing the show to come back and build out on what they have now with host Roy Wood Jr. and panelists Michael Ian Black and Amber Ruffin. And I'm glad they're able to do this, but that you have to continually do it over and over again, and which is what I appreciate about Everybody's Live, because that show is going to be on for 10 weeks or however many episodes are doing. 10 weeks straight, which is tough, but it's not, the same thing that the other late night shows are doing 4 nights a week. 12 years. They're doing 12. 12 years. 12 episodes. They're doing 12. Anyway, late night, I still think that there's a lot more that we can mine from this, because late night and with podcasting, yes, you can get down to nitty gritty and talk about things on a more personal level, but there's so much that even a video podcast can't do compared to late night. And because I'm a traditionalist in the sense that all I see is the world of late night, I'm downloading a video so I can put it on TikTok. For C Plus Comedy. I hate this so much. But I still think there's value in this world of late night, and I hope that networks can still see that, and I hope that we continually try to, if not reinvent, then at least double down on the things that work. And if that means, Fallon has to do more busking in the subways, then with Bad Bunny or Ed Sheeran, then let's go ahead and do it, because this is how broadcast is going to continue. I do think late night and shows like SNL are part in the reason why people are still watching broadcast things, and that's a much bigger conversation. A lot of it is also the shows on prime time. And if you're in the case of Law and Order, you keep letting people go, which is insane. SVU is insane. I know why are you letting people go? Just let people get a chance to like people. But we have to continually invest and put in the time and put in the money. And I know that the money's not there, but that is on the networks to say, hey, you know what? After midnight, Taylor Tomlinson's leaving, and we don't want the show anymore. We don't want to put anything on. Well, then what are you going to do? Networks have to be able to go, okay, this host is leaving. Let's see if we can replace them. Instead of saying, well, the After Midnight videos are only getting 5,000 views. Well, whose fault is that? I mean, it's plenty funny, but let's just put more effort into it. And let's stop the clapter. I'm watching the new season of Taskmaster. Taskmaster is great. If you don't know what Taskmaster is, it's a panel game show based in the UK, where comedians have to do tasks that are pretty stupid. And then it's gotten so popular that over the past 10 years or so, they've made different Taskmasters all around the world. They tried to make a US one. I watched a video as to why the US one didn't work. That was on Comedy Central, and it was presented by Reggie Watts. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds of this, but I have thoughts on why it didn't work, because I watched a lot of clips this morning. I don't think Reggie was the right person to host that show, to present that show. Also, it was on Comedy Central, and they cut down an hour-long show, a 40-some-odd minute show, down to 22 minutes, and everything just felt rushed. And the audience was, from the clips I saw and based on what Alex Horn said, who was the creator of the original Taskmaster and who's also on that show, and who was also on the American version, Alex Horn said the audience, they just kept making them clap over and over again. That does not work. That does not work for that type of show, which is a style of panel late night show, I would say. It just didn't work. And the way you make that show work is just, and all these other late night comedy shows is just let things happen naturally. Let the laughter come. Let the laughter come naturally, and don't force anything. And with After Midnight, I think, I could accept that they have the same people back over and over again. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the TikTok stuff and a little bit of the pandering, but man, a big thing that ruins the show is the constant audience interaction, the clapping, the clapter, the clapping laughter, especially when nothing funny is happening. It's just a lot of, yeah, we're losing it. We're losing that line here. So anyway, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people. Sometimes if you want to see a video version of me talking to famous people, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy and watch the interviews. I've got a new one coming out. You can also watch a video version of this show, as well as LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs podcast, and the Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News podcast. youtube.com/cpluscomedy. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok @cpluscomedy. Me @ChadBlackWhite. Thank you so much. We'll see you later. Bye.